He was the arrogant billionaire CEO. No one dared to challenge him. Not his managers, not his directors, not even his lawyers. But then, a new cook arrived. And with just a few words, he brought the billionaire to tears. Richard Kane built his empire from the ground up. But with success came arrogance. To his employees, he was untouchable. If someone disagreed, they were humiliated in front of the board or fired on the spot. Meetings weren't discussions. They were battlegrounds where only Richard's voice mattered. He believed respect could be bought and fear was loyalty. For years, no one challenged him. Until the day the kitchen hired a new cook. His name was Marcus, a tall, calm man with steady eyes and steady hands. He didn't come dressed in luxury. He didn't need to. To everyone else, he was just a new face in the kitchen, but his presence carried something different, something unshakable. Other employees whispered him, warning him, "Stay out of the CEO's way. He doesn't tolerate mistakes." Marcus only smiled. "I'm not here to fear a man. I'm here to serve people." No one understood what he meant. Yet, the storm came quickly. During a high-profile board dinner, Richard demanded the finest steak. Marcus cooked it to perfection, plating it with precision. But when the meal was served, Richard sneered. "This is disgusting! Do you know who I am? I don't eat this trash." The room froze. Executives stared at the floor. Managers held their breath. But Marcus, he didn't bow. He didn't stammer. He looked the billionaire straight in the eyes and said, "Sir, a man's worth is not measured by how others serve him, but by how he treats those who serve." Gasps filled the hall. Richard's face turned red. His hand slammed the table. "You're just a cook. I could end your career tonight." Marcus's voice stayed calm. "Then end it. But remember this, when the applause fades and the money is gone, respect is the only meal you can't buy." The words cut deeper than anyone had ever dared. For the first time, the great Richard Kane had no response. What no one knew, what Richard himself didn't know, was that Marcus had once been a head chef at one of the city's most prestigious restaurants. A restaurant Richard's company had destroyed in a ruthless takeover. Dozens of staff lost their jobs. Dreams collapsed overnight. Marcus didn't take the cook's job for money. He took it for justice. But justice didn't come through revenge. It came through truth. That night, Richard lay awake. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about profits or contracts. He was thinking about a cook's words. Respect is the only meal you can't buy. He remembered his employees' fearful faces. He remembered his own daughter once telling him, "Dad, you scare people." He had laughed then, but now in the quiet of his mansion, the laughter felt hollow. The next day, Richard tried to reassert control. He called Marcus to his office. "You embarrassed me. Why shouldn't I fire you?" Marcus stood firm. "You asked me why. Because you needed someone to remind you. You're not feared because you're strong. You're feared because you're cruel. And there's a difference." Richard stared at him, waiting for him to break. But Marcus didn't. And for the first time, Richard felt like the one being judged. Instead of firing him, Richard did something no one expected. He asked Marcus to prepare a meal, not for the board, not for clients, but for the employees. The next day, Marcus cooked a simple meal: fresh bread, stew, and roasted vegetables. The staff sat together, laughing, eating, sharing stories. Richard watched from the corner. For years, he had ruled through fear. But here, in this moment, he saw something he couldn't buy. Unity, humanity, respect. Weeks passed. Slowly, Richard changed. He stopped humiliating staff. He started listening in meetings. And one evening, in front of his entire board, he did the unthinkable. He apologized. Fear built this company, but it will be respect that keeps it alive. And for that lesson, I thank our cook. Gasps, stunned silence, and then applause. Marcus never asked for credit. He returned to the kitchen, working with quiet dignity. But his presence had lit a fire in the company. Employees stood taller. They spoke louder. They worked not out of fear, but out of pride. And Richard Kane, the once arrogant billionaire, finally understood. A leader isn't the one with the loudest voice. It's the one who listens. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room isn't the one in the suit, but the one with nothing to lose and the courage to speak truth. Respect is greater than riches, because money may build empires, but only respect keeps them standing.